So what's the best fast charger for your iPhone? This is a question I've had for a while, but with the demise of AirPower, I figure I answer that question, once and for all. Now, after using a ton of fast chargers, the best one, based on the two criteria that I thought were the most important to rate on, is going to be the SCOSCHE charger, and if you're looking for something with a few more ports, you're going to want to get the Nekteck charger. The Nekteck charger is especially useful if you plan on using a laptop with that charger. Products I'd stay away from, well, basically anything that's cheap because, well, you'll see. So for the rest of this video, I am going to elaborate on why I chose the SCOSCHE and Nekteck chargers based on, well, charge rates, build quality, and max loads. Now, there's a ton of chargers I haven't used, so I'm going to share with you a buyer's guide with the two main criteria that I've based this entire video on. If you want to jump to a specific section, use the time code in the description section below. So, let's get started. At MobileReviewsEh, Monty and I base all our videos on actual usage, so when we decided to figure out what the best USB PD charger was, well, the only thing we could do was just charge our iPhones. A lot. For this video, we ran most of the charge tests on the same iPhone, with the same cable, with the same outlet, in the same room. Monty and I would let the device charge up while using an app called Amperes to track the charge rate, and then we burn out the battery by going to the camera, turning on the flashlight, and just leaving it on. Now, as a side note, the quality of the battery in my iPhone XR that I used for this entire video didn't change between the start and the end. Dozens of useless discharges later, and my iPhone XR's battery, well, still holds full charge. USB PD stands for Universal Serial Bus Power Delivery, which was a standard established in 2012 and has seen, I think, 3 revisions since. Now, USB PD isn't quite the same as fast charging found on certain Android products, but those two things are kind of merging in the last few years. The benefit of USB PD is that it will provide devices with the right wattage. Instead of one rate, the charger will give the best rate to the connected device. Your iPhone chargers only come with 5-watt chargers. Some of these fast chargers come up to 20 watts, so there's a lot more power that, well, can come out of these chargers. Now, another way to think about USB PD chargers is like a, regular garden hose. You turn on the water and the water just spews out. Now, USB PD would be similar to putting on a multi-nozzle sprayer on top of your hose so that you can kind of pick and choose how much water comes and goes. Now, I know fast charging sounds very fancy, and you might be wondering, what is it exactly? Fast charge only exists on the iPhone 8 or later and allows you to charge your battery up to 50% in 30 minutes, which is pretty handy. In fact, fast charge is pretty much the reason why I really don't care about how much power is left in my iPhone battery. Honestly, my iPhone usually sits between 20 and 50%, since whenever I get, the low power warning, I just plug it in for like 10-15 minutes and I get enough to last me for the rest of the day. But the biggest annoyance for fast charging on the iPhone is the fact that Apple doesn't include a fast charger with their latest smartphones. WTF. So let's talk about the charge rate differences. Here's a graph of all the charges I used in this video. In this graph, shorter is better, so these tall things, well, they're outliers. The worst performing results came from the GreatCool charger and charging with the non-MiFi certified cable. Now, once we remove the outliers, we'll see that in order to get a 1% charge on your iPhone during the fast charge phase, the fastest chargers did it in 32 seconds, while the slowest ones did it in over 40. Now, between the fastest and the slowest, to get to 50%, the SCOSCHE, which was the fastest, did it in about 26.5 minutes, while the slowest charger, the Apple iPad charger, was about 35 minutes. Now, in terms of just pure battery percentage on the iPhone XR, that's about 10%. Is that a deal breaker? Maybe for some, but I haven't had a situation where that 10% made a really big difference for me in recent memory anyways. Now, I am going to pick on the GreatCool charger a bit. This is one of the cheaper chargers. Actually, I think it's the cheapest, and it also provides the worst charge rates. In addition to that, the charge rates are wildly different. I did the charge test a bunch of different times, and the data was different almost every single time, which seems incredibly sketchy to me. Now, out of these tests, I did notice an odd thing between chargers from Anker. The 4-port charger was way faster than the single-port charger. Why? I have no idea. Now let's talk about charging with the multi-port chargers with all the ports filled in. Out of our handful of fast chargers, there was a bunch that could charge multiple devices at once. Now, most of these devices had a variation of some sort of intelligent charging, and from what I can understand, intelligent charging basically means that it's going to max out the amperage on 1 or 2 ports and charging the rest of the devices a little slower. Now, this happens because the charger only has a set amount of wattage, so it can only supply ports accordingly, so it will split it up. I don't know how they do it, but that kind of leads to the question that I had: does plugging as many devices as I can into the charger have any impact on the USB PD port? The short answer is no, The longer answer is actually no as well. With the fastest chargers, there was maybe a difference of 1, maybe 2 minutes. On one of the slower chargers, maybe more than that. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's going to make a big difference because that's just so many devices being charged by one charger. Now, my recommended product when it comes to multi-port charger is this oddly named Nekteck charger. The brand's weirdly named. It's the only one that passes my 2 buyer's guide criteria. The RAV charger, this one here, actually, I was a little surprised because this is a very nice looking unit, but they're actually lying to you a little bit when it comes to the wattage. And if you're wondering how much is a little bit, it's the same amount of sleeping around Dwight did with Angela when Angela was engaged to Andy on The Office. I love that show. Now let me elaborate on that lie. Nekteck says that it's a 60 watt charger and the output is actually 60 watt. Now RAVPower says their charger is 60 watts as well, but RAV's 60 watts comes from adding 45 watts from the USB PD charger and the 15 watts from the USB-A ports. So yeah, technically 60 watts, depending on how you look at it. Just a little bit of a lie. Now, if all you're going to do is just charge your iPhone, this isn't actually going to matter, but you might have trouble powering anything other than a small laptop. The current 13-inch Pros in 2019, they come with a 60 watt charger. So this Nekteck charger is going to be able to power that device without any sort of issue. You could definitely do some gaming and definitely do video editing with it. Now, I've got a 15-inch MacBook Pro that comes with an 87 watt charger, which is much larger than the 60 watts provided by the Nekteck charger. Now, the Nekteck charger will work fine with, low-level stuff, I'll say, like web surfing and the occasional, you can definitely watch videos. But the moment that I start editing videos or I'm gaming, the amount of power supplied by the Nekteck charger isn't going to be enough. So it actually slowly drains my battery with this charger and my MacBook Pro if I'm maxing out the power or usage in that device. Here's a shot of the 87 watt charger block, and the wattage is over 80. The amps are over 4. If I use the Nekteck charger, it's close to 60 watts, but it never really goes over 60. So my laptop is out 20 watts at that very moment. So it's going to pull the missing power out of the battery. Now, when it comes to size, the smallest charger in this batch belongs to Aukey. It's a little bigger than your standard iPhone charger, but should you get it? The answer is no, because it fails my buyer's guide test. Are there any other size categories I feel like talking about? No, not really, because, well, they just kind of get bigger. Before we continue on, if you are finding this video useful, consider getting all your stuff through my Amazon links. This video isn't sponsored, and it's taken months to come out with the charge test as well as making all the graphs and whatnot. So, if you appreciate what I've done and helped you in terms of buying your fast charger, get your stuff through my Amazon links. So, yeah, let's keep going. So on to the buyer's guide. So as I said at the very beginning, despite using several different fast chargers, it's a fraction of what's out there. And I can't test them all, nor do I want to. So here's 2 things that I pay attention to when looking at buying a fast charger. The first thing I look for is to make sure that it's a USB compliant product. Now, USB is a standard that manufacturers try to manufacture. If you go to usb.org, you can search for products to see if they are certified. The simplest test to see if it's certified or not is to see if there's the USB logo on it. Now, the website does say that showing up on this list is up to the manufacturer to do so, but personally, if you're a company that makes USB charging products, why aren't you in the USB-IF database? So out of my collection of USB PD chargers, half of them don't actually show up in the database, the other half do. By elimination, the other half will, if the other one doesn't, but whatever. The half that don't show up in this database include chargers from Aukey, Choetech, GreatCool, and RAVPower. Now, I was a little surprised with RAVPower because their products are very solid and they feel very well built, but they could have had their certification under another name. There's like another weird name, Steiger International Trade Investment Company. I searched for that. If that didn't exist, maybe it's a shell company. I don't know. Now, the first 3 bands didn't surprise me. Why? Because the products from Aukey, Choetech, and GreatCool were the cheapest, and the build quality from these products seemed incredibly poor. For example, Aukey couldn't figure out how to print the product information in a straight line. GreatCool couldn't charge my iPhone at a consistent rate, and Choetech port actually isn't lined up with the casing, which is kind of sucky. And the cable from Choetech that I bought from them actually got stuck in my laptop the first few times I used it. So it just seems really sketchy. The craziest thing about Choetech is that it is one of the most popular chargers on Amazon, and it's not USB certified. So as much as we love things, as much as I love things that are cheap, maybe buying a discount fast charger isn't a good idea, because at the end of the day, do you really want to be charging your $1,000 iPhone with a $16 charger? I know I'm not going to. Now, I will say that oddly enough, Apple wasn't actually in this list. There are no product numbers or the name Apple in the thing. I'm guessing it's under Shell Corporation. I don't know. But Apple's kind of sneaky in that regards. But regardless, Apple's own chargers are going to be pretty good. Now, the products that do show up in the USB database include products from Anker, Nekteck, and SCOSCHE. But out of these three, only Nekteck had the USB logo on it. Now, the build quality of these certified products feel exponentially better than the other ones. They feel solid, the edges made up, and the labels are, well, printed on straight, which is why I recommend it. Now, I know I haven't explicitly recommended any sort of Anker product, but honestly, I've been using Anker for a while, and I've got a ton of Anker products in my own home, so you definitely can't go wrong with that brand. It's just, they're not the best in my opinion. They're very good, but not the best. Now, the second thing in my buyer's guide is that you need to pay attention to the maximum wattage. I've already touched on this. Make sure that you know that the wattage listed on the device or in the product description is for the USB PD port. 60 watts on the Nekteck charger, and it actually, the port produces 60 watts, whereas in this 60 watt RAVPower charger has a 45 watt output, and the rest of the ports is 15. So these guys are lying just a little bit. So that's all I got. The buyer's guide, I think, is probably the best part of this entire video. Took a while to figure out, but now we have it. First time watching one of my videos, I do encourage you to click subscribe. You got questions, comments, leave them down there. That's kind of all I got. I'm Aaron the Ho. This is Monty the Ho. We're done.